The temperature was 5 degrees below zero. Nathan lay unconscious in the snow, blood freezing on his face. And a 9-year-old girl weighing just 62 pounds made an impossible choice. She grabbed his arm and started pulling. 185 pounds of dead weight, 2.5 miles of frozen wilderness. 4 times he fell. 4 times she got him back up, because he had saved her with $20. Now it was her turn to save him. But let me start at the beginning. The day a mountain man walked into a saloon and changed 2 lives forever. The cabin smelled of pine smoke and memory. Nathan Garrett sat in his rocking chair, aged 76 now, white hair catching the firelight. Outside the window, December snow fell soft and endless over the Colorado mountains. The year was 1918, and the world had just finished tearing itself apart in a war across the ocean. But up here in this high place, the silence remained unchanged. His granddaughter Emily sat across from him, 16 years old, and angry at everything. She had run away from her mother's house in Denver 3 days ago, shown up at his door with red eyes and a carpet bag. They had been sitting in careful silence ever since. Now she spoke, voice tight with frustration. "Grandpa, why do I have to stay here? Nobody understands me. Nobody ever has." Nathan studied her face in the firelight. He saw his daughter Clara in those features, the same determined jaw, the same eyes that refused to surrender even when the world demanded it. "You think you're the first person to feel that way?" Nathan's voice was rough as bark, but gentle. "It's different now," Emily said. "Times have changed. Some things never change: fear, loneliness, the need to be seen." Nathan reached for his pipe, packed it slowly. "Let me tell you about the winter of 1878, the year I bought your grandmother for $20. Emily's head snapped up. "You what?" "I bought her, paid cash, in a saloon in front of 30 witnesses. He lit the pipe smoke curling blue in the lamplight. "And that choice changed everything." "Grandpa, I don't understand." "You will." Nathan settled back in his chair, eyes distant. "It started on a Tuesday, December 18th, cold enough to freeze spit before it hit the ground." The firelight dimmed. The cabin walls seemed to dissolve, and Nathan began. The wind screamed through the high peaks of the Colorado Rockies that morning. December 18th, 1878. Down in the valley, dry weeds shook in air so cold it burned the lungs. The town of Copper Ridge huddled against the mountain's base like something seeking shelter from a storm that would never end. Nathan Garrett woke alone as he had for 6 years. His cabin stood at 8,500 feet, tucked into a grove of aspens 3 miles above town. 1 room. Stone fireplace he had built with his own hands. Bed in the corner. Table with 2 chairs, though only one ever got used. On the mantel above the fire sat a small photograph in a wooden frame. A woman holding an infant. Both smiling. Both dead. Catherine, his wife. Gone February 1872. Lily, his daughter. 8 months old when the fever took her. Same week as her mother. 6 years of silence since then. Nathan was 43 years old, though the mirror showed a man much older. 6 feet 2 inches tall, shoulders broad from swinging an axe and hauling traps. Beard streaked with gray. Scar running down his right forearm where a grizzly had opened him up in '74. Eyes the color of winter sky, holding the kind of loneliness that becomes permanent. He dressed in the pre-dawn dark, wool shirt, leather coat lined with rabbit fur, boots he had resoled himself. Checked his Winchester rifle out of habit, though he was only going to town for supplies. Some habits die hard, some never die at all. Bell, his mule, stood patient in the small lean-to barn. 12 years old, gray around the muzzle, stubborn as bedrock. Nathan saddled her loaded empty saddlebags and began the descent. The trail wound through pine forest, then opened onto bare rock faces where wind cut like knives. 3 miles, 2 hours. Nathan had made this journey once a month for 5 years. Always bought the same things: salt, coffee, ammunition, flour, sometimes whiskey if he could spare the coin. He spoke to no one unless he had to. People in town knew him by sight but not by name. The mountain man, the hermit, the one who lived alone and preferred it that way. They were mostly right, but there was one thing they did not know. Folded in Nathan's inside coat pocket, wrapped in oilcloth to keep it dry, was a letter, written in shaky handwriting on paper yellowed with age. He had carried it every day for 7 years. Read it so many times the creases were wearing through. The letter was from his sister Rebecca, written the day before she died. Nathan reached town by mid-afternoon. Copper Ridge. Population maybe 200 on a good day. More when the miners came down from the claims. A main street of mud and wooden boardwalks. Morrison's General Store. The assayer's office. The blacksmith. 3 saloons because miners needed somewhere to spend what little they earned. And the broken wheel, which was the largest and the loudest, and the one Nathan avoided except for one drink at the end of his supply run. He tied Bell outside Morrison's. The old man behind the counter nodded but said nothing. Nathan bought what he needed, paid in silver coins, loaded the saddlebags. The whole transaction took less than 10 minutes. He should have left then, should have climbed back onto Bell and started the long ride home before the light failed. But old Samuel Porter sat at a table in the corner, and Samuel was the closest thing Nathan had to a friend. "Nathan," Samuel said, voice quiet. "Sit a minute." Nathan hesitated, then sat. Samuel was 58, weathered as driftwood kind eyes in a tired face. His wife had died 3 years ago. He understood the shape of Nathan's silence. "How's the winter treating you?" Samuel asked. "Same as always." "Getting enough to eat?" "Enough." They sat in comfortable quiet. Then Samuel leaned forward, voice dropping. "You might want to avoid the broken wheel today." Nathan looked up. "Why, Walter Birch is there, drunk since noon, talking crazy." Samuel's face tightened. "He's got his daughter with him." Nathan felt something cold move through his chest. "Clara. 9 years old. Hasn't eaten in 2 days by the look of her." Samuel shook his head. "Walter's trying to sell her, to anyone who'll pay." The world seemed to tilt. Nathan knew Walter Birch. Everyone did. Farmer gone to seed, wife dead 2 years back from consumption. Man who loved whiskey more than he loved anything breathing. But this— "Sell her." Nathan's voice came out flat. "Says he needs money for a horse. Can't work his claim without one." Samuel met Nathan's eyes. "Silas Cutter's in there too. And Cutter don't buy nothing he can't profit from." The name hung in the air like poison. Silas Cutter. 39 years old. Sharp dresser, sharper tongue. Ran a dozen different businesses in Denver and the mining towns. Some legal, most not. Word was he dealt in everything. Stolen goods, claim jumping, and girls, young girls. Nathan stood up so fast his chair scraped loud on the floor. "Nathan," Samuel said, "don't do nothing stupid." But Nathan was already walking out the door. The Broken Wheel Saloon sat at the end of the street like a rotting tooth. 4:37 in the afternoon. Piano music jangled out of tune. Smoke poured from the chimney and the windows. Nathan pushed through the door. The smell hit him first. Tobacco. Spilled whiskey. Sweat. Sawdust on the floor dark with stains. 30 men scattered around tables. Poker games. Drinking. The piano player banging keys in the corner. And at a table near the back, Walter Birch swayed on his feet, red-faced, shirt half untucked, holding a girl's thin arm. Nathan's world narrowed to that image. Clara Birch was 9 years old, small for her age, dress that had once been blue but had faded to gray, too thin for the fabric which hung loose on a body that should have weighed 70 pounds but probably weighed less than 60. Dark hair tangled and unwashed, bare feet on the sawdust floor dirty and cold. She held a scrap of cloth in one hand, blue, a handkerchief maybe, and a piece of cornbread so hard it might have been a week old. Her eyes were the most striking thing about her, clear, pale green like new leaves, staring at the floor with the expression of someone who had learned that looking up only brought trouble. Walter's voice rose above the noise. $20? Just 20 and she's yours to work. Good girl, strong, can cook, can clean. $20 and I'll write you a bill of sale." The room had gone quiet. Men looked away, into their drinks, at the walls, anywhere but at the child being auctioned like livestock. One man did not look away. He sat in the shadows near the far wall. Black vest over white shirt, gold watch chain, thin face, narrow eyes, smoking a cigar with the casual ease of someone who had never worried about money in his life. Silas Cutter. He leaned back in his chair, exhaled smoke, and spoke with a voice like oil on water. "That child was promised to me, Birch." Walter turned, nearly fell, caught himself on a chair. "Mr. Cutter, sir, I know we had an arrangement, but I need cash now, today." "We had an agreement." Cutter's voice stayed calm, dangerous calm. "You owe me $75. 3 years of work from the girl, then your debt is paid. That was the deal. But I need a horse." Walter's voice cracked with desperation. "I can't work my claim, can't make money. Please, Mr. Cutter, just $20 today and I'll—" "Our agreement stands." The room held its breath. Nathan stood by the door. His hands were shaking, not from cold, from something else, something old and terrible rising up from a place he had buried deep. He was 13 years old again, standing in a cabin in Missouri, watching his father take $50 from a fat merchant in a gold waistcoat, watching his sister Rebecca, 16 years old, scream and reach for him. "Nathan, don't let him, please." And Nathan had stood frozen, silent, afraid. The merchant had led Rebecca away. Nathan's father had counted the money, and Nathan had done nothing. 22 years later he found Rebecca in a charity hospital in Denver, dying of consumption, hollow-eyed, 33 years old and looking 60, used up, broken. She had recognized him anyway. Nathan, little Nathan. He held her hand while she died. She forgave him, said it was not his fault, said he had been just a boy. But he never forgave himself. In her last hours, she had written him a letter, 3 sentences. "Nathan, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't blame yourself. You were just a boy. But promise me one thing, save someone else. Save someone the way you couldn't save me. That's how you'll be free." He had carried that letter for 7 years. Now, standing in the Broken Wheel Saloon watching a 9-year-old girl being sold, Nathan felt the weight of it burning against his chest. He took 3 steps forward. His voice came out rough, loud enough to carry. "I'll take her." Every head in the saloon turned. The piano player's hands froze on the keys. Someone dropped a glass. It shattered on the floor. Nathan walked toward the table, slow, deliberate, eyes locked on Walter Birch. "I said I'll take her." $20. Walter blinked, swayed, tried to focus. You want to buy her? I'll pay your price." Silas Cutter stood up, smooth, controlled. His smile was the kind that never reached the eyes. "Now hold on, Garrett. This child is already spoken for." Nathan turned to face him. They were the same height, different in every other way. "You got a contract?" Nathan asked. "I don't need paper. I have a man's word." "Walter's word isn't worth the breath it took to say it. You know that. I know that. Everyone here knows that." Cutter's smile thinned. "Are you calling me a liar?" "I'm saying the girl wasn't yours, and now she's mine." Nathan reached into his coat, pulled out a leather pouch, counted out 20 silver dollars onto the nearest table, slow, one at a time. The coins rang against the wood. It was nearly everything he had. Cutter's voice dropped to something quiet and deadly. "You're making a mistake, mountain man." "That'll be for me to decide." "The law won't see it your way. I have influential friends, judges, sheriffs. Then they can come find me." Nathan turned back to Walter. "Take the money." Walter Birch stared at the silver like a drowning man staring at a rope. His hand shot out, grabbed the coins, shoved them into his pocket. "Sold," he said, voice cracking. "She's yours, Garrett. You bought her fair." He did not look at his daughter, not once, just turned and stumbled toward the bar, already calling for whiskey. Nathan stood there, suddenly aware that he had just bought a human being, a child, in front of 30 witnesses, and he had no idea what to do next. He looked down at Clara. She looked up at him for the first time. Those green eyes, clear and old and full of a fear so deep it had no bottom. Nathan's throat went tight. He knelt down, slow, non-threatening, got to her eye level. "My name is Nathan," he said quietly. "I'm not going to hurt you. Do you understand?" Clara did not speak, just stared. "We're going to leave now. We're going to my cabin. It's warm there. There's food. You'll be safe." Still nothing. Nathan stood, looked around the room. "If anyone has a problem with this, speak now." Silence. Even Cutter said nothing. Just stood there, cigar smoke curling around his face, eyes calculating. Nathan held out his hand to Clara. She did not take it. But when he turned toward the door, she followed, small feet in the sawdust, 3 steps behind, clutching her handkerchief and her stale cornbread like they were all she had in the world. Because they were. They walked out into the cold. Old Morrison stood on the boardwalk outside his store watching. His expression was unreadable. "You just made an enemy, Garrett," Morrison said quietly. "Wouldn't be the first." "Cutter, don't forget." "Good. Neither do I." Nathan untied Bell, checked the load in his saddlebags. The light was fading fast. They needed to get moving if they wanted to reach the cabin before full dark. He turned to Clara. "Can you ride a mule?" She shook her head. "Barely. Just a tiny motion." "That's all right. Bell's steady. She won't throw you." Nathan lifted Clara onto Bell's back. The child weighed almost nothing, like lifting a sack of feathers. He adjusted the supplies to give her more room, made sure she could reach the saddle horn. "Hold on tight. We've got 3 miles to go. It'll be dark soon." Clara's small hands gripped the worn leather, white-knuckled. Nathan took Bell's lead rope and started walking. Behind them, the door of the broken wheel opened. Lamplight spilled out. Silas Cutter stood framed in the doorway watching them leave. His voice carried in the cold air. "This isn't over, Garrett. Not by half." Nathan did not turn around, just kept walking. The trail climbed steep out of town, up through scrub oak and pine. The temperature dropped with every 100 feet of elevation. By the time they reached the halfway point, the wind had teeth. Clara shivered on Bell's back. Nathan stopped, took off his heavy coat, draped it around her thin shoulders. It swallowed her, hung down past her knees. But it was warm. "Better?" he asked. She nodded, still had not spoken a word. They walked on. The world turned blue with twilight. Stars came out hard and bright in the thin air. A wolf howled somewhere distant. Clara flinched. "Just wolves," Nathan said. "They stay away from people. Fire scares them." Another mile passed. Then Clara spoke. Her voice was small, hoarse, like she had not used it in a long time. "Are you going to sell me?" Nathan stopped walking, turned to look up at her. In the dimness, her eyes were shadows. "No," he said. "Papa said people buy girls to work, or for other things." The words hit Nathan like a physical blow. She was 9 years old and already knew what the world did to girls like her. He wanted to find Walter Birch and break his neck. Instead, he took a breath, spoke carefully. "I'm not going to sell you, Clara. I'm not going to hurt you. And I'm not going to make you do anything except eat and sleep and get warm. That's all. I promise." "Why?" "Because someone should have done it for my sister, and nobody did." Clara studied his face in the starlight, looking for lies, looking for tricks. "What happened to your sister?" "That's a long story. I'll tell you sometime, but not tonight." They reached the cabin just after 8 o'clock. It sat in its clearing, small and solid against the mountain. Smoke still rose from the chimney. The fire Nathan had banked that morning was still alive. He helped Clara down from Bell, put the mule in the lean-to with hay and water, carried his supplies inside. The cabin was one room, bed in the corner, stone fireplace, and on the mantel the photograph of Catherine and Lily. Clara stood by the door, not moving, eyes taking everything in, Nathan added wood to the fire, lit a lamp, pulled out a pot and began cooking beans with a little salt pork. The smell filled the room, rich and warm. He set 2 bowls on the table, gave Clara the bigger portion. "Sit, eat." Clara sat on the edge of the chair, picked up the spoon like she was afraid it might vanish, ate slowly, each bite deliberate, trying to make it last. Nathan ate little, mostly watched her, trying to figure out what to do next. When the meal was done, he cleared the bowls, added more wood to the fire. "You take the bed," he said. "I'll sleep here by the fire." He began spreading blankets on the floor. When he turned around, Clara was gone. Not gone from the cabin, but pressed into the far corner, back against the wall, hugging her knees, shaking. Nathan's heart broke. He understood. She thought he was going to hurt her, thought the kindness was a trap, thought the moment the lamp went out he would become something else. She had learned this from men like her father, from men like Cutter. Nathan sat down on the floor, slowly, careful, kept 6 feet between them. "Clara, listen to me, please." She watched him, eyes huge, terrified. Nathan took a shaking breath, started talking, said things he had not said out loud in years. "I had a daughter once. Her name was Lily. She died when she was 8 months old. Fever took her mother too. Catherine, my wife. That was 6 years ago. February 18th, 1872. His voice cracked, but he kept going. "I also had a sister, Rebecca. When I was 13 years old, my father sold her to a merchant for $50. I watched it happen. She screamed, she begged, she reached for me." Nathan's hands were shaking now. "And I did nothing. I was scared. I was just a boy. But I did nothing." Tears started. He could not stop them. "I found her again 22 years later, in Denver, in a hospital. She was dying. She was 33 years old and she looked like an old woman. The things they had done to her." Nathan broke, put his face in his hands, sobbed. Deep wrenching sounds he had held back for years. "She died in my arms. And her last words were, 'Save someone else, Nathan. Save someone the way you couldn't save me.'" He looked up at Clara through tears. "So when I saw you in that saloon, I couldn't stand there again. I couldn't watch another child get sold and do nothing. I bought you because I had to, because if I didn't, I'd never forgive myself. But I'm not going to hurt you. I swear on Lily's grave, I swear on Rebecca's memory, you're safe here." Silence filled the cabin, just the crackle of the fire, the wind outside, Nathan's ragged breathing. Then Clara spoke, voice barely above a whisper. "Are you going to sell me like Papa did?" The question destroyed what was left of Nathan's composure. He cried harder, couldn't speak, just shook his head. "Never," he finally managed. "God is my witness. Never." Clara watched him cry, this big, rough mountain man coming apart on the cabin floor. And slowly, very slowly, she unfolded herself from the corner. She did not come close, but she was no longer pressed against the wall. "You can have the bed," she said softly. "You're bigger." Nathan wiped his face with his sleeve. "No, the bed is yours, every night, warm and safe. I've slept on rocks and snow. I'll be fine here." "I usually sleep in the barn," Clara said, "when Papa remembers to unlock it." Nathan closed his eyes, fresh rage and grief mixing together. "You'll never sleep in a barn again, not while you live under my roof." Clara looked at the bed, then at Nathan, then back at the bed. She walked to it slowly, climbed up, still wearing her thin dress, still clutching her blue handkerchief and the cornbread she never ate. She lay on top of the blankets, stiff, staring at the ceiling. "I'll be right here by the fire," Nathan said. "The door is barred. Nobody can get in. You can sleep." "What if they come anyway?" "Then they go through me first." Another long silence. "Papa said wolves would eat me if I ran away." "Your papa said a lot of things that weren't true." Nathan lay down on his pallet by the fire, added one more log, watched the flames dance. Outside a wolf did howl, far away, lonely. Clara tensed. "Just wolves," Nathan said again. "They keep their distance. Fire scares them more than we scare them." Gradually, Clara's breathing slowed. Her body relaxed into the thin mattress. She slept. Nathan did not. He sat up back against the wall, Winchester rifle across his knees, watching the door, watching the window, watching over this child who had been thrown away like trash. The fire burned low. The wind sang its endless song, and Nathan Garrett, who had lived alone for 6 years, shared his roof with another soul for the first time since Catherine died. He pulled Rebecca's letter from his pocket, read it by firelight for the 100th time. Save someone else. He looked at Clara sleeping. "I'm trying, Rebecca," he whispered. "I'm trying." Morning came cold and clear. Nathan woke to find Clara already up, standing by the window looking out at the snow-covered valley below. She still wore his coat wrapped around her like a blanket. He stood slowly, built up the fire, put coffee on to boil. "You hungry?" he asked. She nodded. He made cornmeal mush with a little honey. Real honey, not molasses. He had been saving it. Now seemed like a good time. Clara ate slowly, still cautious, still waiting for the trap to spring. When breakfast was done, Nathan set a small axe on the table. "I'm going to teach you things," he said. "Skills, how to survive up here. Because winter's just starting and it's going to be hard, you understand?" Clara looked at the axe, at Nathan, at the door. "I'm not leaving here, am I?" she said. "Not unless you want to." "What if I do want to?" Nathan met her eyes. "Then I'll take you wherever you want to go. But there's nowhere safe for a girl alone, not in this world. So I'm asking you to stay. Let me teach you. Let me keep you fed and warm. And when spring comes, if you still want to leave, I'll help you. I give you my word." Clara thought about this for a long time. What do I have to do? Learn, work, stay alive. That's all. Another pause. "Okay," she said quietly. Nathan felt something ease in his chest. Not relief exactly, but something close. He picked up the small axe. "First lesson, fire. Without fire you die in one night up here, so you learn to keep it going. Come on." They went outside into the bright freezing morning. Nathan showed Clara the wood pile, how to split kindling, how to stack it to dry, how to recognize good burning wood versus green wood that would only smoke. Clara's hands were small. The axe was heavy. She swung and missed, tried again, missed again. "Lower on the handle," Nathan said. "Let the weight do the work." She adjusted, swung. The wood split. Clara looked up at him, a tiny smile, the first he had seen. "Good," Nathan said. "Now do it 40 more times." The smile vanished. But she got to work. By noon her hands were blistered. By evening they were bleeding. Nathan cleaned them, applied bear grease, wrapped them in cloth. "They'll toughen," he said. "Everything takes time up here." 3 days passed. Nathan taught Clara how to start a fire with flint and steel, how to fetch water without spilling, how to cook beans, how to read weather by watching clouds gather around the peaks. Clara learned fast, desperately fast, like someone who knew her survival depended on it. On the 4th day, Nathan took her into the forest. "You need to know what's out here," he said. "What's dangerous, what's not." He showed her tracks in the snow. Rabbit. See the pattern. Small front paws, big back paws. They hop. Clara knelt, touched the tracks gently. "This is deer, cloven hooves. This one's a doe, female, smaller than a buck." They walked farther. Nathan stopped at a different print, larger, clear pad marks. "This is a cougar, mountain lion, female." Clara stared at the track. "How do you know it's female?" "Size, and she's moving careful, probably has cubs somewhere." "Will she come near the cabin?" "Not if she can help it. But if you ever see a cougar, don't run. Stand tall, make noise, back away slow." Clara nodded, memorizing. They found wolf tracks next, then bear. By the time they returned to the cabin, Clara had learned a dozen different animals by their prints alone. That night, Nathan gave her a knife, small, sharp, with a leather sheath. "This is for protection," he said. If someone tries to grab you, go for soft spots, throat, belly, eyes, then run. Don't be brave, be alive. Clara held the knife. It felt heavy in her hand. Who would try to grab me? Maybe no one, but maybe someone, and if it happens, you'll be ready. On the 7th day, Samuel Porter rode up to the cabin. He brought supplies, extra flour, sugar, salt, and news. When Clara went outside to feed Belle, Samuel spoke quietly. "Cutter's asking questions in town, says you stole his property. Brennan's taking notes." Marcus Brennan, the sheriff, 52 years old, more interested in keeping his job than keeping the peace. "Let him ask," Nathan said. "Nathan Cutter's got money. He can make trouble." "I know." "You got any legal claim to that girl?" "I paid for her, in front of witnesses." "That might not hold up, not if Cutter had a prior agreement with Walter." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Clara's not going back to him. I don't care what the law says." Samuel looked worried, but he nodded. "I figured you'd say that. Just wanted you to know what's coming." After Samuel left, Nathan stood on the porch watching the valley. Smoke rose from Copper Ridge below. Somewhere down there, Cutter was planning, scheming, calling in favors. Nathan looked at the Winchester propped by the door. Winter was coming, and so was something else. 2 weeks after Nathan brought Clara home, the real cold arrived. Temperatures dropped to 5 degrees at night, then 0, then below. Snow fell in waves, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4. Nathan and Clara worked together, hauling wood, checking traps, hunting when they could. Clara grew stronger. Her hands toughened. Her face filled out a little. She gained 4 pounds in 2 weeks, and slowly, gradually she began to talk. Not much, but some. She asked about the photograph on the mantel. "Is that your wife?" "Yes, Catherine." "She's pretty. And the baby, Lily. She would have been your age now, if she'd lived." Clara studied the photo, then looked at Nathan. "Do you think she would have liked me?" Nathan's throat went tight. "I think she would have loved you." December gave way to January. The cold deepened, the snow piled higher, and one morning Nathan woke to the sound of something outside, something big. He grabbed his rifle, went to the window. A bear. Young black bear, maybe 250 pounds, digging at the root cellar door. Nathan swore under his breath. Clara appeared beside him, eyes wide. "Stay inside," Nathan said. "I'll scare it off." He opened the door, fired a shot into the air. The bear looked up, did not run. Nathan fired again. Closer. The bear backed up, but only a few feet. It was starving, winter thin, desperate, and desperate animals were dangerous. Nathan was about to fire a third shot when Clara pushed past him. "Clara, get back!" But she was already on the porch, holding the small .22 rifle Nathan had given her 3 days ago. She aimed at the ground near the bear's feet. Fired. The crack echoed across the valley. The bear startled, looked at the 9-year-old girl with a gun. Clara worked the bolt, chambered another round, aimed again. "Get out!" she screamed. The bear hesitated, then turned, lumbered into the trees. Nathan stood frozen. Clara lowered the rifle. Her hands were shaking, but her face was set with determination. "You said to aim for what scares them," she said quietly. "I scared it." Nathan wanted to be angry, wanted to yell at her for taking such a risk. Instead, he put his hand on her shoulder. "You did good, real good, steady under pressure." Clara looked up at him. "I was terrified." "I know. That's what makes it brave." That night they sat by the fire, Nathan cleaning his rifle, Clara darning a sock with stitches Ruth Donovan had taught her. "Nathan," Clara said. "Yes." "Thank you for that day in the saloon." Nathan looked at her. "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. You saved me. You saved yourself today, with that bear." Clara shook her head. "That's not what I mean. You saved me from something worse than a bear." Nathan set down his rifle. "What do you mean?" Clara's voice went very quiet. "Mr. Cutter, Papa owed him money, $75, from gambling. Mr. Cutter said I could work for him, 3 years, then the debt would be paid. Nathan felt ice in his stomach. Work how? I don't know. But the way he looked at me, Clara shuddered. I knew it was bad. I knew I didn't want to go. You're not going. Ever. Promise. I promise. Clara nodded, went back to her darning. But Nathan sat there staring into the fire rage building in his chest. Cutter had not wanted Clara to work at a ranch. He had wanted to use her, the way Rebecca had been used. Nathan had saved her. Barely. By $20 and a moment of courage he almost did not have. The window of time had been so narrow, and he knew with cold certainty that Cutter was not done. Men like that never were. January deepened into its coldest heart. The wolves came. Nathan heard them first, howling in the distance, getting closer each night. On the third night they circled the cabin. 6 of them, maybe 7. Gray shadows in the moonlight, hungry, desperate. Nathan and Clara sat by the fire rifles ready. The wolves circled, tested the doors, scratched at the walls. One climbed the wood pile, got onto the roof, clawed at the shingles. Clara, Nathan said quietly. Window on the left. I'll take the right. Clara moved into position. Steady. No fear showing. We shoot into the air. Not at them. We're scaring them off, not killing them. Understand? Yes. On my count. 1, 2, 3. They fired together. The twin cracks of rifle fire split the night. The wolves scattered, vanished into the trees. Nathan lowered his weapon, looked at Clara. She had not flinched, had not panicked, had done exactly what needed doing. You're getting strong, he said. I learned from you. The wolves did not return. But something else was coming. Nathan could feel it, like the pressure before a storm. And in Copper Ridge, 3 miles down the mountain, Silas Cutter sat in his office smoking a cigar, planning his next move. The girl would be his. One way or another. The law was just a tool. And Cutter knew how to use tools. Sheriff Marcus Brennan arrived on horseback 3 weeks after Nathan bought Clara. January 8, 1879. 10:15 in the morning. Cold enough that the horse's breath came out in white clouds thick as smoke. Nathan saw them coming from a quarter-mile away. 2 riders, Brennan and his deputy Frank Cole, 28 years old, new to the job face, still uncertain about what the badge meant. Clara, Nathan said quietly, go to the back corner, behind the trunk. Stay quiet. What if they try to take me? They won't. But if something happens, you go out the back window, run to the trees. Don't stop until you reach Samuel Porter's store in town. Clara's face went pale, but she nodded, disappeared behind the old steamer trunk that held Catherine's things. Nathan opened the door, stood on the threshold, Winchester leaning against the wall just inside, close, within reach. Brennan dismounted, tall man, gray mustache, eyes that had seen too much and cared about too little. Morning, Garrett. Sheriff? Mind if I come in? Got some questions. Ask from there. Brennan's mouth tightened, but he stayed put. You bought a child from Walter Birch on December 18th. That correct? I paid him $20. Legal transaction. 30 witnesses. Problem is, Silas Cutter claims the girl was promised to him. Says Birch owed him money. Says the girl was collateral. Birch took my money. Deal's done. Cutter's filing a claim with the territorial court. Says you stole property. Nathan's voice went flat. Dangerous. She's not property. She's a child. Law might see it different. Debt contracts are legal. If Birch used his daughter as collateral and you interfered, that's theft. Then I'm a thief. Silence stretched between them. Cold wind blowing. Horses shifting. Brennan sighed. Look, Garrett, I don't like this any more than you do. But Cutter's got connections, got money. He can make this official. Judge, court, the whole thing. Let him try. You could lose, could go to jail. Then where does that leave the girl? With someone who's not Cutter. Brennan shook his head, looked tired. Just telling you how it is. Cutter wants her back, and he's got the law on his side. Funny how the law always sides with men who have money. That's the world we live in. Nathan met his eyes. You here to arrest me? Not today, just delivering a warning. Cutter's coming for you, through the courts or otherwise. Watch yourself. Brennan climbed back on his horse. Deputy Cole had not said a word, just sat there looking uncomfortable, like he knew something was wrong but did not know how to fix it. They rode away. Nathan waited until they disappeared down the trail, then called out softly, "They're gone." Clara emerged from behind the trunk, face white as snow. Are they going to take me? No. But what if the judge says I have to go with Mr. Cutter? Nathan knelt down, looked her straight in the eyes. Listen to me. I won't let that happen. I don't care what any judge says. I don't care what the law says. You're staying here, with me. Do you understand? But how can you stop them? I'll find a way. Clara threw her arms around his neck, held on tight. Nathan held her back, this small person who had somehow become everything. Outside the wind howled. The storm was coming. Not the weather kind, the other kind, the worst kind. 2 days later, Nathan rode down to town alone, left Clara with strict instructions to bar the door and not open it for anyone except Samuel Porter. He needed information, needed to know what Cutter was planning. The general store was quiet. Samuel behind the counter sorting mail. Nathan, didn't expect to see you so soon. Need to talk, private. They went to the back room. Samuel poured coffee from a pot that had been sitting too long. It tasted like burnt leather, but Nathan drank it anyway. Cutter's hiring a lawyer, Samuel said quietly. William Hayes, out of Denver. Good one. Expensive. On what grounds? Breach of contract. Theft of collateral. Says Walter Birch owed him $75. Says they had an agreement that Clara would work off the debt. Says you interfered and stole his property. Nathan's jaw clenched. She's not property. You and I know that. Hayes will argue different. He'll say verbal contracts are binding. He'll say you paid less than the agreed amount. He'll say you had no right. What are my chances? Samuel looked away. That was answer enough. You need a lawyer too, Samuel said. Good one. I don't have money for that. Spent most of what I had buying Clara. Then you need witnesses. People who'll testify that Cutter's not fit to have a child in his care. Who's going to speak against Cutter? He owns half this town. Not everyone. Ruth Donovan might. She's been teaching Clara to read. She likes the girl. Ruth's a widow. She can't afford to make enemies. Then who? Nathan had no answer. They sat in silence, drinking bad coffee, the odds stacking higher against them. Finally Samuel spoke again. There's rumors about Cutter, about what he does with young girls. Nothing proven, but rumors. Nathan leaned forward. What kind of rumors? That he runs houses in Denver, brothels, that he brings girls from the mining towns, young ones, desperate ones, uses them up and throws them away. Can we prove it? Not easily, but there's a woman, Eliza Warren, lives in Pueblo now. Word is she escaped from Cutter 20 years ago. If we could find her, get her to testify. Will she? She's been hiding for 2 decades. She's terrified. But maybe if she knew it was to save another girl, maybe she'd come forward. How far is Pueblo? 3 days' ride, each way. Nathan thought about leaving Clara for 6 days. Thought about what could happen in that time. I can't leave her that long. Then I'll go. Samuel set down his cup. I'll find Eliza Warren. I'll bring her back. You stay with Clara. Keep her safe until the trial. What trial? The one Cutter's demanding. Should be scheduled for May. Gives us time. Nathan nodded slowly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We might lose anyway. But Nathan saw something in Samuel's eyes. Determination. The kind that comes from having lost too much yourself and refusing to watch it happen to someone else. Samuel left the next morning, riding south toward Pueblo, looking for a ghost. Nathan rode back up the mountain, back to Clara, back to the cabin that felt more like home now than it had in 6 years. Clara was waiting on the porch, rifle across her lap, alert, ready. She was learning. Winter tightened its grip. January became February. The coldest stretch Nathan could remember. Temperatures dropping to 15 below zero at night, the kind of cold that killed. Supplies ran low, flour down to 6 pounds, beans almost gone, dried meat finished. They were eating thin soup and whatever Nathan could trap or hunt, which was not much. The animals had gone deep, hibernating or starving same as everyone else. Clara never complained, just ate her small portions and said nothing. But Nathan saw her ribs starting to show again. On February 3rd, Nathan decided he had to hunt, had to find something, anything. He saw deer tracks near the frozen creek, fresh, maybe 2 hours old. "I'm going after them," he told Clara. "I'll be gone 3 hours, maybe 4. I should come with you." "No, too dangerous. You stay here, keep the fire going, keep warm." "What if you don't come back?" Nathan stopped, looked at her. This girl who had lost so much already. "I'll come back. Promise." "I promise." He loaded his Winchester, took his knife, rope, set out into the frozen wilderness. The tracks led him east, through deep snow, over ridges where the wind cut like razors. 2 hours of hard tracking. He found the deer, a doe, maybe 120 pounds, standing near a break in the creek ice drinking. Nathan moved slow, quiet, got within range, aimed careful, fired. The doe dropped, clean shot, dead before she hit the ground. Nathan moved forward, already thinking about how to field dress her, how to haul the meat back, how long it would last them. He stepped onto what looked like solid ground, but the snow had drifted over ice, and the ice was thin. It gave way. Nathan's boot broke through. He fell forward trying to catch himself. His head struck a rock. The world went white, then black, then nothing. Clara waited. 3 hours passed, then 4, then 5. The sun sank toward the horizon. The temperature dropped. Nathan had not come back. Clara stood at the window watching the trail, hands pressed against the glass, breath fogging the pain. She remembered his promise, but she also remembered her mother's promises, her father's promises. Promises meant nothing when the world took what it wanted. 6 o'clock came, dark settling in. Nathan had said to stay, to bar the door, to wait. But Clara also remembered what else he had said. "We take care of each other. That's what family does." She made a decision, put on every piece of warm clothing she had, Nathan's coat over her own, mittens, hat, took the .22 rifle, ammunition, a torch made from pine pitch and cloth, barred the door from the outside so no one could get in while she was gone, and set out to find him. The temperature was dropping fast, maybe 5 degrees now, maybe colder. Clara followed Nathan's tracks in the snow, boot prints clear in the fading light. She walked fast, not running. Running would make her sweat, and sweating meant death in this cold. The tracks led east, away from the cabin, into country Clara had never seen. She walked for an hour, torch held high, rifle over her shoulder. The moon rose, full and bright, turning the snow to silver. Then she heard it. A sound, faint, like someone groaning. Clara stopped, listened. There. She moved toward it, found a break in the rocks, a small ravine. And at the bottom, lying in the snow, was Nathan. Blood on his face, ice in his beard, not moving much. "Nathan." Clara slid down the slope, fell, got up, reached him. His eyes opened, barely focused. "Clara, told you. Stay." "I'm not leaving you. Too heavy, can't walk." "Yes, you can." Clara got under his arm, tried to lift him. He weighed 185 pounds. She weighed 62. The math did not work. But math did not matter. Clara pulled, heaved, got Nathan to his feet. He swayed. nearly fell. "Lean on me," Clara said. "We're going home." "Can't." "Yes, we can. One step." They took one step. Another step. They took another. It was 2.5 miles back to the cabin. They walked it one step at a time. Nathan fell 4 times. Each time Clara got him back up, pulled, pushed, refused to quit. The cold bit deeper. The moon climbed higher. Clara's legs shook. Her arms burned. Her breath came in gasps. But she did not stop. 2 hours later they reached the cabin. Clara got the door open, dragged Nathan inside. He collapsed on the floor. She built up the fire, high and hot, got water boiling, found clean cloth, washed the blood from Nathan's head. The cut was deep but not fatal. She bandaged it the way Ruth had taught her, tight, clean, made pine needle tea, the way Nathan had shown her. It helped with fever, forced him to drink. Nathan was burning up, 103 degrees, delirious. "Catherine," he mumbled. "Lily, I'm sorry. I couldn't save you." Clara held his hand. "It's me. It's Clara. You're safe." "Rebecca, I'm sorry. So sorry." "Shh. Rest. I'm here." She stayed beside him all night, added wood to the fire, gave him water, kept him warm, used every blanket in the cabin on him, wore only her coat. Sometime near dawn she fell asleep sitting up, rifle across her lap. If anyone came through that door, they would have to go through her first. Nathan woke on the 4th day. His head pounded. His vision was blurry, but he was alive. The first thing he saw was Clara, curled on the floor beside him, shivering in her thin coat. All the blankets piled on top of him. She had given him everything, kept him alive, sacrificed her own comfort to save him. Nathan tried to sit up. The room spun. Clara's eyes snapped open. "You're awake." Tears came immediately. Relief and exhaustion mixed together. "How long?" 4 days. Nathan closed his eyes. 4 days. She had cared for him for 4 days. Alone. "Clara, you saved my life. We take care of each other. You said so." Nathan reached out, pulled her close. She was freezing. He wrapped the blankets around both of them. They sat there by the fire, not speaking, just breathing. 2 people who had been alone, who were alone no longer. "I came to save you," Nathan said quietly, "but you're the one who saved me." "We save each other," Clara whispered. "That's what family does." The word hung in the air. Family. Nathan had not had a family in 6 years. Now he did. A week later Nathan was strong enough to sit up. Another week before he could walk without falling. Clara had kept them alive, kept the fire going, melted snow for water, made thin soup from the last of the beans. They were down to almost nothing, but they were alive. One night, sitting by the fire, Nathan took something from his pocket. The letter, Rebecca's letter, worn almost to pieces now. He handed it to Clara. "Can you read this?" Clara took it carefully, unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky but legible. She read slowly, sounding out the harder words. "Nathan, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't blame yourself. You were just a boy. But promise me one thing. Save someone else. Save someone the way you couldn't save me. That's how you'll be free." Clara looked up. "Who's Rebecca?" Nathan took a breath, started talking. He told her everything. About growing up in Missouri. About his father who drank and gambled. About Rebecca, his sister, who was kind and brave and deserved better. About the day the merchant came. The $50. The way Rebecca screamed. About standing there, frozen, doing nothing. "I was 13, Nathan said. "I was scared. But that's no excuse." He told her about the years after. Working on riverboats, mining camps, trying to forget, failing to forget. About meeting Catherine, getting married, having Lily, thinking maybe he could build something good, make up for what he had failed to do. Then the fever taking them both. After they died, I came up here, figured I'd live alone, figured I deserved to be alone. Then I found Rebecca, in Denver, 1870. She was dying. Tuberculosis. She was 33 but looked twice that. The things they had done to her. His voice broke. I held her while she died, and she forgave me. Said it wasn't my fault, but I never forgave myself. Clara was crying now too. Then I saw you, Nathan continued, in that saloon, about to be sold to Cutter, and I couldn't stand there again, couldn't do nothing again. He looked at Clara. You asked me once why I bought you. That's why. Because I failed Rebecca, but I wasn't going to fail you. Clara set the letter down carefully, moved closer to Nathan. You didn't fail her. I did. I stood there and watched. You were 13, a child. What could you have done? Something. Anything. And you would have been beaten, maybe killed, and Rebecca would still have been taken. But then I wouldn't be here, because you wouldn't have been alive to save me. Nathan stared at her, this 9-year-old girl with wisdom beyond her years. Maybe, Clara said softly, maybe Rebecca knew that. Maybe that's why she told you to save someone else, because she knew you couldn't save her, but you could save me. Nathan pulled Clara close, held her tight. They cried together, for Rebecca, for Catherine and Lily, for all the lost ones. And when the tears stopped, something had changed. They were no longer a man and a girl he had bought. They were father and daughter. 2 days later, Clara asked about the scar on her own wrist. They were working outside, Clara splitting kindling, Nathan repairing a harness. Clara's sleeve pulled back. The scar showed, thin white line, circular, like a bracelet. Nathan had seen it before, never asked about it. Now Clara spoke first. You want to know how I got this? Nathan set down his work. Only if you want to tell me. Clara looked at the scar, ran her finger along it. After Mama died, Papa changed. He drank more, got angry more. One time I ate the last piece of bread. He was so mad. Her voice went flat, distant. He tied me to the barn post, with barbed wire, said I was stealing from him, said I was useless, left me there 2 days. Nathan's hands clenched into fists. The wire cut me. I tried not to move, but it hurt so much. I couldn't sleep, couldn't sit, just had to stand there. Mr. Hendricks, our neighbor, found me on the 3rd day. Papa was passed out drunk. Mr. Hendricks cut me loose, wanted to take me to town, but I begged him not to. Why? Because I was scared. If they took Papa away, I'd have no one. I'd be alone. She laughed bitterly. Stupid, right? No, not stupid, just scared. That's why when Papa sold me, I was relieved, because I thought maybe whoever bought me would be kinder than being tied to a post. Nathan stood up, walked to Clara, knelt in front of her. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's not your fault. No, but I'm still sorry. No child should ever be treated that way. Clara touched his face gently. But it brought me to you, so maybe it was worth it. You shouldn't have to find good in something so awful. Maybe not, but I did. I found you. On February 20th, Samuel Porter returned. Nathan heard the horse from a distance, grabbed his rifle, then saw it was Samuel. But Samuel was not alone. A woman rode beside him, thin, 39 years old, face worn by hard years. They dismounted. The woman looked around nervously, like she might bolt at any moment. Samuel spoke quietly. Nathan, this is Eliza Warren. Eliza nodded, barely, did not offer her hand. Clara came out of the cabin, saw the visitors, hung back. Let's go inside, Nathan said. They sat around the table. Nathan made coffee. Real coffee this time, not the burnt chicory mix they had been stretching. Eliza held her cup in both hands, like she needed the warmth, or something to hold on to. Samuel told me about your situation, she said. Her voice was quiet, careful. About Clara, about Cutter. I appreciate you coming all this way. I almost didn't. I've been hiding for 20 years. Coming here testifying, it puts me at risk." "I understand. If you've changed your mind—" "I haven't." Eliza looked at Clara, really looked at her. "How old are you?" "9," Clara said softly. "I was 19 when Cutter took me." The room went very still. Eliza took a breath, started talking. "My father was a farmer in Kansas, 1859. The crop failed. He borrowed money from Cutter, $75. Couldn't pay it back." She stared into her coffee. "Cutter came with an offer. My father could work off the debt, or I could work for Cutter for 3 years after that debt cleared. My father chose me." Nathan's jaw tightened. "I thought I'd be a housemaid, in Denver, cooking, cleaning, honest work." Eliza's hands started shaking. "But Cutter took me to a house on Blake Street, a brothel. He said, 'You work here, you make money, I take most of it. Try to leave, I'll find you, and when I find you, you'll wish you hadn't run.'" Clara made a small sound. Nathan reached over, put his hand on hers. "I was there 4 years, not 3, 4. He kept finding reasons to extend my debt. Said I owed him for room, for food, for clothes. The numbers never made sense, but I couldn't argue. I tried to run twice. First time his men brought me back. Beat me. Broke 2 of my ribs." She pulled her shawl aside, showed a long scar on her collarbone. "Second time was worse. The third time I got lucky. A railroad man, client. He saw what was happening, gave me $200, bought me a train ticket to Pueblo, told me to disappear. I've been hiding ever since, changed my name, kept to myself, terrified he'd find me." Eliza looked at Nathan. "When Samuel told me Cutter was trying to get another girl, I wanted to say no, wanted to stay hidden, but then he told me she was 9 years old." Her eyes filled with tears. "I can't let it happen again. I can't sit in Pueblo knowing I could have stopped it. So I'll testify. I'll tell the judge everything, even if Cutter comes for me after." Nathan's throat was tight. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I might not be enough. Cutter's smart. He'll have lawyers. He'll discredit me. Call me a liar, a whore. Say I'm making it up. But you're not. No, I'm not. And I have proof." She pulled a folder from her bag. Letters, receipts, names and dates written in shaky handwriting. "I kept everything. Every letter Cutter sent, every receipt for money he claimed I owed, every name of every girl who worked in that house." She spread the papers on the table. "Some of them are dead now. Mary Sullivan, typhoid 1865. Catherine O'Malley killed herself in 1872. Ann Brennan disappeared. No one knows what happened to her." Nathan looked at the name. Brennan, like the sheriff. His sister. That's why he takes Cutter's money. Guilt. He thinks if he'd protected Ann, she'd still be alive. The pieces started falling into place. Brennan was not just corrupt, he was broken. "Will you testify?" Nathan asked. "Yes." "When's the trial?" "Don't know yet. Cutter's still filing paperwork." Eliza nodded, looked at Clara again. "You're lucky you know. That he found you in time." Clara stood up, walked around the table, hugged Eliza. The woman stiffened, then slowly, carefully hugged her back, and started crying. Not quiet tears, deep, wrenching sobs. 20 years of grief and fear and guilt pouring out. Clara held her, this small girl comforting this broken woman. "You're safe now," Clara whispered. "We'll keep you safe." Eliza stayed 3 days, rested, ate real food, slept without nightmares for the first time in years. Then she and Samuel rode back to Pueblo, where she would wait until the trial. After they left, Nathan sat on the porch, watching the valley. The pieces were coming together, but Cutter was still out there, still planning, still dangerous, and the law was on his side. On March 1st, a rider came, Deputy Frank Cole, alone this time. Nathan met him in the yard, rifle close. Cole dismounted, held up his hands. "I'm not here to cause trouble." "Then why are you here?" Cole reached into his coat, pulled out an envelope, handed it to Nathan. Court summons. You and Clara. May 10th, 9 in the morning. Nathan took it, read it. What happens if I don't show? Warrant for your arrest. Clara goes to Cutter by default. Nathan's hands tightened on the paper. Cole looked uncomfortable. Mr. Garrett, can I speak plainly? Go ahead. I don't like this. What's happening? Cutter's dirty. Everyone knows it. But Brennan takes his money, and the town council looks the other way. So why wear the badge? Because someone has to, and I'm trying to be better than what I see around me. Nathan studied the young man, saw something honest there, something decent. You could help us, Nathan said. How? Investigate Cutter, quietly. Find proof of what he's doing, present it at the trial. Cole thought about this. That's dangerous. If Brennan finds out, I'll lose my job. Maybe worse. But you'll do it anyway. Cole smiled slightly. Yeah, I will. He climbed back on his horse, started to ride away, then stopped. Mr. Garrett. Yes. That girl, Clara, she's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. Cole nodded, rode off. Nathan went back inside, showed Clara the summons. What does it mean? Means we have to go to court. Let a judge decide if you stay with me or go to Cutter. Fear flashed across Clara's face. What if the judge says I have to go? Nathan knelt down, looked her in the eyes. Then we leave. Tonight. We pack what we can carry. We ride north. Canada, maybe. Somewhere they can't find us. You do that. Give up your home. This cabin is just wood and stone. You're my home now. Where you go, I go. Clara threw her arms around him, held tight. Outside, winter was finally breaking, snow melting, streams running high and fast, the first flowers pushing through the mud. Spring was coming, and so was the reckoning. In his office in Copper Ridge, Silas Cutter read the same summons, smiled. He had the law. He had money. He had a good lawyer. The girl would be his. Just a matter of time. He poured himself whiskey, lit a cigar. Outside his window the mountains stood tall and indifferent. They had seen men like Cutter before. They would see them again. But the mountains did not care about men or their schemes. The mountains only cared about what endured. And some things once built could not be torn down, no matter how hard you tried. Spring came reluctantly to the high country that year, snow melting in patches revealing brown grass and mud underneath. The creek behind Nathan's cabin roared with runoff loud enough to hear from inside. Columbine flowers pushed through the wet earth, yellow and purple, delicate as hope. Clara stood in the meadow holding a bouquet she had picked herself. "Papa," she said. The word came naturally now, had for weeks. "Can we plant some of these near the grave?" Nathan looked up from where he was splitting wood, saw Clara holding the flowers, saw the way the morning light caught in her hair, which was clean, now brushed, growing longer. She had gained weight, 12 pounds since December. Her face had filled out, color in her cheeks. She looked like a child again instead of a ghost. "The grave?" he asked. "Mama Catherine and Lily. You showed me where they're buried, under the cottonwood. I thought they might like flowers." Nathan's chest tightened. She called them Mama Catherine and Lily, like they were hers too, like she was claiming them as family even though she had never met them. "Yes," he said quietly. "I think they'd like that very much." They walked together to the small clearing where 2 wooden crosses stood beneath an old cottonwood tree. The names were carved deep. Catherine Garrett, 1842 to 1872. Lily Garrett, 1871 to 1872. Clara knelt, planted the columbines carefully around the graves, patted the earth down with small hands. "I wish I could have met them," she said. "They would have loved you. Do you think they're watching?" "I think if anyone's watching over us, it's them." Clara stood, brushed dirt from her knees, took Nathan's hand. They stood there in the morning quiet. 2 people who had found each other in the wreckage of their lives, building something new from the broken pieces. But the peace would not last. On April 10th, Ruth Donovan rode up to the cabin. She brought news and supplies, new fabric for Clara, books, paper and pencils, and a worried expression that told Nathan everything before she said a word. "The trial's set," Ruth said. "May 10th, 9 in the morning. The whole town's talking about it." Nathan poured coffee. They sat at the table. Clara was outside practicing with the rifle at targets Nathan had set up. "What are they saying?" Nathan asked. "Mixed. Some folks think you did right, saving a child from Walter Birch, but others—" Ruth paused. "Others say it's not proper. A single man raising a girl, no wife, no female supervision. They're asking questions." "What kind of questions?" "The kind Cutter's lawyer will use against you." Ruth's voice went quiet. "Hayes is good, Nathan. He'll make you look dangerous, isolated, unsuitable. He'll argue that even if Cutter's not perfect, at least his ranch has women working there, structure, society. His ranch is a brothel pipeline. You have to prove that, in court, with evidence that will hold up." Nathan stared into his coffee. "Eliza Warren's testimony should do it. Maybe, if the judge believes her. But Hayes will attack her character, call her a liar, a prostitute with a grudge. Judges are men, Nathan, and men often believe other men over women." The truth of that sat heavy in the room. "What do I do?" Nathan asked. "Fight. With everything you have. I'll testify. Samuel will too. But you need more. You need to show the judge that Clara's thriving with you, that she's safe, educated, cared for." "She is all those things." "Then make sure everyone sees it." Ruth stood, called to Clara through the window. "Clara, dear, come here a moment." Clara came inside, rifle over her shoulder, alert, capable. Ruth smiled. "I've been teaching you reading and arithmetic for 3 months now. How do you like it?" "I love it," Clara said immediately. "I can read whole books now, and I can do sums. Nathan says I'm faster than he is. Would you like to continue learning?" "Yes, ma'am. Even if it means coming to town regularly, being around other people." Clara glanced at Nathan, then back to Ruth. "As long as I can come home after." "This is your home then, here with Nathan?" "Yes, ma'am. It's the only real home I've ever had." Ruth's eyes went bright with tears. She touched Clara's cheek gently. "Then we'll make sure you get to keep it." After Ruth left, Nathan sat Clara down. "The trial is in 1 month," he said. "It's going to be hard. They'll ask you questions about me, about your life here, about what happened before. What should I say? The truth, always the truth. Don't exaggerate. Don't lie to make me look better. Just tell them what's real. What if the truth isn't enough?" Nathan took her hands. "Then we tried our best, and whatever happens, we'll face it together." Clara nodded. But fear lived in her eyes. That night Nathan could not sleep. He sat by the fire cleaning his rifle for the 3rd time. Not because it needed cleaning, because his hands needed something to do. Clara appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a blanket. "Can't sleep either?" Nathan asked. She shook her head, came and sat beside him. They stared into the fire together, not speaking, just being. Finally, Clara said, "If the judge makes me go with Mr. Cutter, I'll run away. I'll come back here. They can't make me stay with him." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But if it does—" Nathan set down the rifle, looked at her. "If it does, we leave. Tonight, right then. We don't wait. We don't ask permission. We take Belle and we ride north until we're somewhere they'll never find us." "You'd really do that?" "Yes. But you'd lose everything. The cabin, your life here." "I'd lose more if I lost you." Clara leaned against him. Nathan put his arm around her. "I love you, Papa," she whispered. It was the first time she had said it out loud. Nathan's throat closed up, could not speak for a moment. "I love you too, Clara, more than anything." They sat there until the fire burned low, until Clara fell asleep against his shoulder. Nathan carried her to bed, tucked her in, watched her sleep, and made himself a promise: no judge, No law, no man on earth would take her from him, not without a fight. April passed in a blur of preparation. Deputy Cole came twice more, each time with information he had gathered quietly. Names of other girls Cutter had taken, dates, locations, testimonies from people who had seen things but been too afraid to speak. "This is enough to arrest him," Cole said, spreading papers on the table. "But Brennan won't do it. Says we need more proof. Says Cutter's too powerful to take down on rumor." "Then we use it at the trial," Nathan said. "I'll be there. I'll present everything I found, even if it costs me my badge." Samuel Porter came with news that Eliza Warren was still willing to testify, still scared but determined. Reverend Gray visited, said he would speak on Nathan's behalf, apologized for doubting him at first. "I was wrong," the Reverend said. "I let fear and propriety cloud my judgment, but I see now what you've done for that child, and I'll tell the judge exactly that." Slowly, piece by piece, they built their defense, but Cutter was building too. On May 1st, 9 days before the trial, a man rode to the cabin. Nathan saw him coming, did not recognize him, told Clara to stay inside. The man dismounted, well-dressed, expensive horse, carried himself like someone used to being listened to. "Nathan Garrett." "Who's asking?" "My name is William Hayes. I'm Mr. Cutter's attorney." Nathan's hand moved closer to the rifle leaning against the porch post. Hayes held up his hands. "I'm not here for trouble. I'm here with an offer." "Not interested. You haven't heard it yet." "Don't need to." Hayes smiled, thin, professional. "Mr. Cutter is willing to drop all charges, let you keep the girl, no trial, no questions, in exchange for one thing." "What's that?" $200, to cover his losses from the broken contract with Walter Birch. Nathan stared at him. "You want me to buy her twice?" "Think of it as a settlement, a reasonable compromise." "Get off my land." "Mr. Garrett, be sensible. You can't win this trial. Cutter has the law on his side. He has money, connections. The judge will rule in his favor. You'll lose the girl and go to jail for theft. Is that what you want?" "I want you to leave, now." Hayes sighed. "You're making a mistake, but I'll see you in court." He climbed back on his horse, rode away. Clara came out. "What did he want?" "To buy you. Again." "What did you say?" "No." Clara hugged him tight. "Thank you." But Nathan's mind was racing. Hayes was confident. Too confident. That meant Cutter had something, some edge they did not know about. The next week crawled by like wounded animal. Nathan could not eat, could barely sleep, kept running through scenarios in his head. What Hayes would argue, how to counter it, what happened if they lost. Clara noticed, started leaving him small things, a flower on his pillow, a drawing she had made of the cabin, a note that said, "We'll be okay," in her careful handwriting. On May 9th, the day before the trial, Samuel Porter came one last time. "Eliza's in town," he said. "Staying at Ruth's house. She's ready." "How is she?" "Terrified but brave. She knows what this means. She's risking everything." Nathan nodded. "Tell her thank you, and that whatever happens, I won't forget what she's doing." That night, Nathan barely slept at all. He kept looking at Clara in her bed, kept thinking this might be the last night she slept under his roof. No, he would not let that happen. Could not let that happen. Morning came cold and clear. May 10th, 1879. Nathan and Clara dressed carefully. Nathan in his best clothes, clean shirt, vest, jacket. Clara in the new dress Ruth had made for her, blue, the color of her eyes. They rode down to Copper Ridge together on Bell. Slow, taking their time. "Are you scared?" Clara asked. "Yes." "Me too." "That's okay. Being scared means we care." The town came into view. Main Street crowded with horses and wagons. Seemed like everyone had come to watch. The courthouse was actually the church converted for the day. Judge Harold Patterson had ridden in from Denver the night before. 57 years old. Reputation for being fair, but strict. Nathan tied Belle to the hitching post, took Clara's hand. They walked up the steps together. Inside the church was packed. Benches filled with townspeople. Some Nathan recognized, most he did not, all of them staring. On the left side sat Silas Cutter, black suit, gold watch chain, expression calm. Next to him William Hayes shuffled papers, looking prepared, looking confident. On the right side an empty bench waited. That was where Nathan and Clara would sit. Samuel Porter was there, Ruth Donovan, Reverend Gray, Deputy Cole. Eliza Warren sat in the back hood pulled low over her face. Sheriff Brennan stood near the door, arms crossed, face unreadable. At the front Judge Patterson sat behind a makeshift bench. Gray hair, sharp eyes, gavel in hand. He looked at Nathan and Clara as they entered. "Mr. Garrett, Miss Birch, please be seated." They sat. The room went quiet. Judge Patterson struck his gavel once. "This court is now in session. Case of Silas Cutter versus Nathan Garrett regarding custody and compensation for Clara Birch. Mr. Hayes, you may proceed." Hayes stood, smoothed his jacket, turned to face the room. "Your Honor, this case is straightforward. A verbal contract existed between Mr. Cutter and Walter Birch. Mr. Birch owed $75. He agreed to allow his daughter Clara to work for Mr. Cutter for 3 years to satisfy the debt. Multiple witnesses can attest to this agreement." Hayes gestured to the crowd. Mr. Garrett interfered. He paid only $20, not the agreed $75, and took Clara without Mr. Cutter's consent. This constitutes theft and breach of contract. He walked slowly toward Nathan's bench. Furthermore, Mr. Garrett, a single man with no wife and no female supervision, has kept a young girl isolated in a remote cabin. No proper schooling, no socialization, no oversight. While his intentions may have been good, the situation is inappropriate and potentially dangerous. Hayes turned back to the judge. "We ask this court to return Clara Birch to Mr. Cutter's lawful custody and order Mr. Garrett to pay damages of $75 plus court costs." He sat down. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Judge Patterson looked at Nathan. "Mr. Garrett, I understand you have no legal counsel. You'll be representing yourself." Nathan stood. "Yes, Your Honor." "Very well. You may present your defense." Nathan's mouth was dry. His hands shook slightly. He was not a lawyer, not a speaker, just a mountain man trying to save his daughter. He looked at the judge, at the crowd, at Cutter sitting there with his smug smile. Then he looked at Clara. She gave him a small nod. "You can do this." Nathan took a breath. "Your Honor, I'm not good with words. I'm not educated like Mr. Hayes, but I know right from wrong. And what Mr. Cutter planned for Clara was wrong." He pointed at Cutter. "This man doesn't run a ranch. He runs a network. He finds desperate men, offers to forgive their debts in exchange for their daughters, then sells those girls to brothels in Denver and the mining camps." Gasps from the crowd. Hayes jumped up. "Objection, slander. Where's the proof?" "I have proof," Nathan said. He gestured to Deputy Cole. Cole stood, brought forward the folder he had compiled, handed it to the judge. "Your Honor, I've been investigating Mr. Cutter for 2 months. These documents show payments for transport of girls, names, dates, testimony from witnesses who saw girls arrive at houses in Denver under Cutter's arrangement." Judge Patterson took the folder, began reading. The room waited in silence. Cutter's smile faltered, just slightly. Hayes leaned over, whispered something to him. Cutter whispered back, angry. Finally, Judge Patterson looked up. "These are serious allegations. Mr. Cutter, do you have a response?" Cutter stood, calm again. "Your Honor, I'm a businessman. I run several legitimate enterprises. Yes, I've arranged employment for young women, but always legal, always consensual. Deputy Cole is new, overzealous. He's confused legal work placement with something sinister." "These names," the judge said, reading from the papers. "Mary Sullivan, Ann Brennan, Catherine O'Malley. What happened to these girls?" "I don't know every person who's worked for me over the years. Some moved on, some got married, some sadly fell ill. but I had nothing to do with their fates. Hayes stood. Your Honor, even if we entertain these accusations which are unproven, they're irrelevant. The question before this court is simple. Did Nathan Garrett interfere with a legal contract? The answer is yes. That's all that matters here. Nathan felt the case slipping away. Judge Patterson set down the papers. Mr. Garrett, these documents raise questions, but they're not conclusive. Do you have any witnesses who can testify directly to Mr. Cutter's activities? This was it, the moment. Nathan looked at the back of the room. Yes, Your Honor, Eliza Warren. Every head turned. Eliza stood slowly, pulled back her hood, walked down the aisle like she was walking to her own execution. Cutter's face went white. Hayes whispered urgently. Cutter grabbed his arm, shook his head. Eliza reached the front, stood before the judge. State your name, Patterson said. Eliza Warren, though my name used to be Eliza Yates, 20 years ago. And you have testimony relevant to this case. Yes, Your Honor. Eliza's voice shook but held. In 1859, I was 19 years old. My father borrowed $75 from Silas Cutter. The crop failed. He couldn't repay. Cutter offered a deal. I would work for him for 3 years. Then the debt would be cleared. She looked at Cutter. He stared back. Cold. My father agreed. I thought I'd be a housemaid. But Cutter took me to Denver, to a house on Blake Street. It was a brothel. Gasps, whispers. Judge Patterson struck his gavel. He said I'd work there until the debt was paid, but the debt never got paid. He kept adding charges. Room, board, clothes. After 3 years, he said I still owed him $200. Eliza's voice grew stronger. I tried to escape twice. Both times his men found me, brought me back, beat me. She pulled down her collar, showed the scar. This is from the second time. They broke my collarbone. Women in the crowd gasped. Some began crying. The third time a client helped me, gave me money, put me on a train. I've been hiding in Pueblo for 20 years, terrified he'd find me. She turned to face the whole room. But when I heard he was trying to take another girl, a 9-year-old child, I couldn't stay silent, because I know what he does. I know what he would have done to Clara, and I won't let it happen again. The room erupted, people shouting, Hayes objecting, gavel pounding. Finally, Judge Patterson restored order. Miss Warren, these are extraordinary claims. Do you have any proof? Eliza pulled papers from her coat. Letters, receipts, all in Cutter's handwriting. Letters he sent me, receipts for money he claimed I owed, names of other girls who worked in that house. She handed them to the judge. Some of them are dead now. Mary Sullivan, typhoid. Catherine O'Malley killed herself. Ann Brennan disappeared. But I remember all their names. Hayes was on his feet. Your Honor, this woman is clearly disturbed. She's making wild accusations based on events she claims happened 20 years ago. There's no way to verify any of this. And even if some of it were true, it has no bearing on the current case. It has every bearing, Nathan said, standing, because it shows what Cutter is, what he does, what he would have done to Clara. Judge Patterson studied the letters, his face grave. Mr. Cutter, I'm going to ask you directly. Did you run a brothel in Denver in 1859? Cutter stood. I owned several properties in Denver. What tenants did in those properties was their business, not mine. That's not an answer? It's the only answer I have. The judge's eyes narrowed. Did you employ Miss Yates, now known as Miss Warren? I may have. 20 years ago. I don't remember every employee. She seems to remember you quite clearly. Cutter said nothing. Judge Patterson set down the papers. I'm going to take a short recess, 30 minutes. When we return, I'll hear testimony from the child herself. He struck the gavel. People stood, stretched, talked in hushed, urgent voices. Nathan sat back down, felt like he might throw up. Clara touched his arm. Did we win? I don't know, but we gave them the truth. That's all we can do. Eliza walked past. Nathan caught her hand. Thank you, he said, for your courage. She squeezed back. Thank you for giving me a reason to stop hiding." Samuel and Ruth came over, offered encouragement, said it was going well, but Nathan saw Cutter and Hayes in the corner, talking rapidly, planning something. The 30 minutes crawled by. Then Judge Patterson returned, struck his gavel. "We will now hear from Clara Birch herself. Young lady, please come forward." Clara stood, walked to the front on shaking legs. The judge looked at her kindly. "Clara, do you understand what it means to tell the truth?" "Yes, sir. It means not lying." "Good. I'm going to ask you some questions. Mr. Hayes will ask some too. Just answer honestly. There are no wrong answers. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." "First, did Mr. Garrett force you to come with him from the saloon?" "No, sir." "Did he threaten you?" "No, sir." "Were you afraid of him?" Clara paused. "At first, but not after." "Why not?" "Because he was kind. He gave me food. He taught me things. He never hurt me." Judge Patterson nodded. "What is your life like now, living with Mr. Garrett?" Clara's voice grew stronger. "I have a bed. I eat every day. He teaches me to read and write. Mrs. Donovan gives me lessons. I learn about animals and plants and how to survive in the mountains. I'm not scared anymore. I'm safe." "What was your life like before Mr. Garrett?" Clara's voice went quiet. "Papa drank a lot. After Mama died, he forgot about me sometimes. He didn't mean to be bad, but he was sad, and the sadness made him angry." "Did he hurt you?" "Sometimes, when he was very sad." "Can you tell us about the scar on your wrist?" Clara pulled back her sleeve, showed the white line. "Papa tied me to a post with barbed wire for 2 days, because I ate the last piece of bread." The room went deathly silent. "I see." Judge Patterson's voice was gentle. "One more question, Clara. If I allowed you to choose where you live, what would you choose?" Clara looked at Nathan, then at Cutter, then back at the judge. "I want to stay with my papa, with Nathan. He's my family now." "Thank you, Clara. Mr. Hayes, your witness." Hayes stood, approached Clara with a practiced smile. "Clara, Mr. Garrett seems like a nice man, but don't you think it's unusual for a grown man to live alone with a little girl?" "He's not alone. I'm there." "Yes, but there's no woman in the house, no mother figure. Don't you miss having a mother?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I miss my mama every day, but she's gone, and Nathan takes care of me better than anyone ever has." "But wouldn't you rather live somewhere with other children, other people, instead of isolated on a mountain?" "I'm not isolated. Mrs. Donovan teaches me. Reverend Gray visits. Mr. Porter brings supplies, and Nathan is all the people I need." Hayes changed tactics. "Clara, do you know what Mr. Garrett did before he bought you? He lived alone, after his wife and daughter died. He lived alone for 6 years. Doesn't that seem strange? Doesn't that worry you?" "No. He was sad, like Papa was sad, but he's not sad anymore. I helped him, and he helped me." Hayes frowned, not getting what he wanted. No further questions. Clara returned to her seat. Nathan squeezed her hand. Judge Patterson called more witnesses. Ruth Donovan testified that Clara was thriving, learning faster than any student she had taught. Reverend Gray spoke about Nathan's character, about the change he had seen in both Nathan and Clara. Samuel Porter described finding Clara in the saloon that day, how thin she was, how scared, how Nathan had stepped in when no one else would. Finally, Deputy Cole presented his full investigation. Every document, every witness statement, every piece of evidence pointing to Cutter's network. By the time he finished, even Hayes looked worried. Judge Patterson studied all the papers, looked at Cutter, at Nathan, at Clara. "I'm going to make my ruling now," he said. The room held its breath. "Mr. Cutter, the evidence presented today is deeply troubling. While some of it is circumstantial, Miss Warren's testimony combined with Deputy Cole's investigation paints a disturbing picture. I am issuing a warrant for your arrest pending a full criminal investigation into human trafficking charges." Cutter shot to his feet. "This is absurd. You can't—" "Sheriff Brennan, take Mr. Cutter into custody." Brennan hesitated. For a long moment Nathan thought he would refuse. Then Brennan walked forward, put handcuffs on Cutter's wrists. Cutter glared at Nathan with pure hatred. "This isn't over, Garrett. I'll get out. I'll come for you, for her." "Then I'll be waiting," Nathan said quietly. Brennan led Cutter toward the door. The crowd parted. No one helped him. No one objected. Judge Patterson turned to Nathan. "Mr. Garrett, your actions on December 18th were unorthodox. Buying a child is not standard procedure." Nathan's heart sank. "However, given what we now know about Mr. Cutter's intentions, I believe you acted in Clara's best interest. You saved her from a terrible fate." Hope flickered. "That said, the law requires proper guardianship. I cannot simply ignore protocol." The hope dimmed. "Therefore, I am ordering the following. Mr. Garrett, you are granted temporary guardianship of Clara Birch for 6 months. During this time, a county representative will visit your home to ensure proper care. Clara will continue her education with Mrs. Donovan. If all conditions are met satisfactorily, I will grant full legal adoption in November." He struck his gavel. "This court is adjourned." The room exploded into applause. Nathan sat frozen, not quite believing it. Clara threw her arms around him. "We won, Papa. We won." Nathan held her tight, tears streaming down his face. They had won, not completely, not permanently yet. But they had won. People came forward, shaking Nathan's hand, congratulating him. Ruth cried. Samuel clapped him on the back. Reverend Gray said a prayer of thanks. Eliza stood apart, watching, smiling for the first time in 20 years. Clara ran to her, hugged her. "Thank you for saving me." Eliza held the girl close. "No, sweetheart, you saved me." Outside, spring sunshine poured down, warm and bright. Nathan and Clara walked to where Belle was tied. Samuel came running after them. "Nathan, wait. The judge wants to see you, privately." Nathan and Clara went back inside. The church was empty now except for Judge Patterson gathering his papers. "Mr. Garrett, a word." Nathan approached, Clara at his side. "I want you to understand something," the judge said. "What you did was illegal, taking a child based on a cash payment. In any other circumstance, I would have ruled against you." "I understand. But the law isn't always just, and justice isn't always legal. Sometimes a man has to choose which matters more." He looked at Clara. "You chose justice. You chose this child's life over legal procedure. That took courage." "Or stupidity," Nathan said. "Sometimes they're the same thing." Patterson smiled slightly. "Take care of her, and in 6 months come back. I'll make it official." "Thank you, Your Honor." They rode home as the sun set, golden light across the valley, the mountains standing tall and eternal. Clara fell asleep against Nathan's back, exhausted from the day. Nathan guided Belle up the familiar trail, every turn, every rock, every tree. Home. The cabin appeared through the aspens, small, simple, perfect. Nathan carried Clara inside, put her to bed without waking her. Then he sat by the fire, stared at the flames. 6 months ago he had been alone, broken, existing, but not living. Now he had a daughter, a reason to wake up, a reason to keep going. He pulled Rebecca's letter from his pocket one last time, read it by firelight. "Save someone else. That's how you'll be free." "I did it, Rebecca," he whispered. "I saved her, and she saved me." He stood, went to the mantel, placed the letter behind the photograph of Catherine and Lily. Then he added something new, a drawing Clara had made, the cabin, mountains behind it, 2 stick figures holding hands. "Papa and me," she had written underneath. Nathan touched it gently, then went to sleep on his pallet by the fire. The next morning Clara woke early. Nathan heard her moving around, making breakfast. She had learned to cook cornmeal mush perfectly now. They ate together, planning the day, the week, the months ahead. "In November it'll be official," Clara said. "I'll really be Clara Garrett." "You're already Clara Garrett. The judge will just make it legal." Clara smiled. Then her face turned serious. Papa, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you ever wish you'd walked away that day in the saloon? Do you ever think your life would be easier if you'd just left me there? Nathan set down his spoon, looked at her directly. No, not once, not for a single second. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You gave me back my life. I thought you gave me mine. We gave each other our lives. That's what family does. Clara came around the table, hugged him. I love you, Papa. I love you too, sweetheart. They held each other in the morning light. Two broken people made whole. Outside, spring moved into summer. The columbines bloomed and faded. Other flowers took their place. The days grew longer, warmer. Nathan and Clara worked together, building, growing, learning. Eliza Warren stayed in the area, opened a small boarding house for women in Copper Ridge, a safe place, protected. Deputy Cole became sheriff when Brennan resigned in shame. He ran the office with integrity, with justice. Silas Cutter went to trial in Denver that fall, was convicted on 5 counts of human trafficking, sentenced to 20 years in territorial prison. His network was dismantled. 10 other men arrested, 17 girls freed and returned to their families or placed in safe homes. And in a cabin high in the Colorado Rockies, Nathan taught Clara everything he knew: how to track, how to hunt, how to survive winter, how to read the sky, how to find water, how to start fire from almost nothing. But more than that, he taught her that she was valuable, that she mattered, that she was loved, and she taught him the same things. November 15th, 1879, 6 months after the trial. Nathan and Clara rode back to Copper Ridge, back to the church that served as courthouse. Judge Patterson was waiting. The proceeding took less than 10 minutes. Have the conditions been met? The judge asked. Mrs. Adelaide Frost, the county inspector, stood. Yes, Your Honor. I've visited the Garrett home 3 times. Clara is healthy, educated, and well cared for. The home is clean and suitable. I recommend full adoption. Mr. Garrett, do you wish to proceed? Yes, Your Honor. Clara, do you consent to being adopted by Nathan Garrett? Yes, sir. Very much. Judge Patterson smiled, signed the papers. Then by the power vested in me, I grant Nathan Garrett full legal adoption of Clara Birch, who will henceforth be known as Clara Garrett. Congratulations to you both. He handed Nathan the official papers. Clara Garrett. Legal. Official. Forever. They walked out into the November sunshine, the mountains already dusted with early snow. We did it, Clara said, laughing. We really did it. Nathan picked her up, spun her around, both of them laughing now. People on the street stopped to watch, smiling, some applauding. Samuel came running from his store, shook Nathan's hand so hard it hurt. Ruth cried happy tears, hugged them both. Even Reverend Gray came out to offer blessings. They celebrated with a simple dinner at Ruth's house, just the close friends who had helped them through. Then rode home under a sky full of stars. Years passed. Clara grew, became a young woman, smart, strong, kind. At 15, she announced she wanted to be a teacher. Like Mrs. Donovan, she said, I want to help children learn, especially ones who think they can't. Nathan helped her apply to the Teachers College in Denver. She was accepted, full scholarship. The day she left, Nathan thought his heart might break, but Clara hugged him tight. I'm not leaving you, Papa. I'm just growing. That's what you taught me to do. I know. Doesn't make it easier. I'll be back every summer, and when I graduate, I'm coming home. I'll teach right here in Copper Ridge, close to you. She kept that promise. Graduated top of her class, returned home, started teaching in the one-room schoolhouse, married a good man, a rancher named Thomas Brennan, no relation to the former sheriff, had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, named the oldest daughter Rebecca, and Nathan lived to see them all, watched his grandchildren grow, taught them the same things he had taught Clara: how to survive, how to be strong, how to be kind. On his 76th birthday, December 18th, 1918, exactly 40 years after he bought Clara, Nathan sat in his rocking chair. The cabin had been expanded. More rooms, more light, more life. But the core remained. The stone fireplace he had built, the photograph on the mantel, the drawing Clara had made as a child. His granddaughter Emily sat across from him, 16 years old, angry at the world, convinced no one understood. So Nathan told her the story, started at the beginning, told her everything. The saloon, the $20, the first terrible night, the long winter, the trial, the victory. When he finished, Emily sat in silence. Finally she spoke. "So Grandma Clara was bought, like property, and you saved her. We saved each other. And that's why you told me this, because I said I wanted to run away. I told you because you said no one understands you, but someone always does. You just have to let them." Emily thought about this. "Did you ever regret it? Taking her in, changing your whole life?" Nathan smiled. "Best $20 I ever spent. Bought me a daughter, bought me grandchildren, bought me a life worth living." "What happened to Mr. Cutter?" "Died in prison, 1896. No one mourned him." "And Miss Warren?" "Lived to be 72. Ran that boarding house for 30 years. Saved more girls than we'll ever know. Clara spoke at her funeral. Said Eliza was the bravest woman she'd ever met." Emily stood, walked to the window, looked out at the snow-covered valley. "I think I'll stay," she said quietly, "for a while longer. See if maybe someone here does understand." Nathan nodded. "Good choice." That night Clara came to visit, brought her children. They had dinner together. The cabin full of noise and laughter and life. After everyone left, Clara stayed behind. She and Nathan sat by the fire, like they had so many times before. "You told Emily the story," Clara said. "She needed to hear it. Do you think it helped?" "Time will tell." Clara took his hand. Her hair was gray now, 49 years old, but her eyes were still that same clear green. "Papa, thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me in that saloon, for knowing I was worth saving." Nathan's eyes filled with tears. "You were worth everything, Clara, everything I had and more." They sat in comfortable silence, the fire crackling, the wind singing outside. "You know what I think," Clara said. "What? I think Mama Catherine and Lily sent me to you. I think they knew you needed saving just as much as I did." Nathan thought about that, about Catherine, about Lily, about Rebecca, about all the losses that had led to this one perfect gain. "Maybe you're right. I know I'm right, because that's what love does. It saves us, over and over, in ways we don't expect." She kissed his forehead. "I'll see you tomorrow. Sleep well." After she left, Nathan sat alone by the fire, looked at the photographs on the mantel, Catherine and Lily, Rebecca's letter tucked behind, Clara's childhood drawing, and a new photo, Clara's family, her husband, her children, all of them smiling. Life had been hard, full of loss, full of pain, but also full of redemption, full of second chances, full of love that saved. Nathan fell asleep in his chair, the fire burning low, and dreamed of columbine flowers blooming in spring, of a little girl learning to split wood, of laughter echoing through a cabin that had once been silent. He dreamed of $20 changing everything, of a promise kept, of a life worth living. And when he woke in the morning, the sun was shining bright through the windows. Another day, another gift. He had saved Clara. Clara had saved him, and together they had built something that would outlast them both. A family, a legacy, a love that could not be bought or sold or taken away, only given freely and received with gratitude, forever.